Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as Hisui, and I'm from ReverseThieves.com as well as the Speakeasy Podcast. And this time I'm looking at UQ Holder, Chapter 16, The Blind Immortal Hunter. And you know, for a chapter that's called The Blind Immortal Hunter, you don't see a lot of that Blind Immortal Hunter, but such is life. Actually, a better title for this chapter would be Someone Just Watched or Read They Were 11, I See. Because I think that's a better description of what this chapter is about. If this was a Hayate chapter, that's what it would be entitled. But as we see, Toda is kind of finishing up learning about flesh step from his mentor. And he still hasn't perfected it, but he's definitely getting better. And the guy tells him about when he was, going through his months of training, he'd just do everything with his feet. And, if you're like in contact with the ground, it helps the technique. And if you constantly use your feet for everything, it's even better. So, we go through a whole lot of silliness of him being around the orphanage, basically eating with his feet and opening up doors with his feet and just being a silly monkey boy, and some of the other kids at the orphanage getting involved, and just general silliness, and Karen being like, what the fudge are you doing? I actually know exactly what you're doing, but still, you're just so stupid. And man, I'm really beginning to feel bad for Kuromaro, because the character is just like, that they're supposed to be cooler, but every once in a while you're like, ah. And so Kuromaro is all up on wanting to teach Toda stuff, and he's like, nah man, I'm just gonna use the techniques that my teacher taught me. And he's all, I'm saddened. And so that goes on. We finally learn what Karen saw in the bathroom that time. And it wasn't just, an innie. Apparently it was nothing. So it turns out that kind of like the one girl from They Were 11, Kuromaro doesn't have a gender right now. Kuromaro is since we don't really have a gender neutral pronoun other than it, which always just sounds awkward. Kuromaro, so I guess it's time to play the gender pronoun game. Kuromaro is a demi-human who, when they reach a certain age, gets to choose whether to be male or female. And Kuromaro seems kind of like, once again, the character from They Were 11 to want to be male because they see that as kind of the more dominant path. If you're a female, you kind of have to make concessions and things become romantic, whereas as a male, people generally see you more as an equal, and you don't have to get into these romantic complications with other males. You can just be like platonic chums, which I think really kind of actually having this character kind of have to go through some gender identity and which gender they're going to choose, and kind of possibly being rather progressive almost. I mean, it's still a joke, but I feel like there's some interesting exploration that could go on, and how that femininity is not necessarily weakness. It isn't weakness. I mean, there's weak women, but the femininity itself is not weak. And kind of it could like let Toda and him kind of form a bond that would then turn into romance, which I think is probably what Ken Nakamatsu is going for. I'd kind of like that. You know, he's obviously not going to end up with Evangeline. I don't think so. So if these two kind of end up together, I'd kind of like to see them, yeah. Kind of had this friendship, and then it turned into a romance, not kind of this, you know, either way, kind of like, oh, I want you to respect me, but I can't do that if I'm a girl, because, that's just, I'd rather them be buds, and then, you know, Kuromaro choose to be female because of a later romantic development, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's Yukio older. I don't know why I'm like, yes, I think that a more detailed gender study and intricate romance shall be. I'm like, it's like, man, I hope this Clifford the Red Dog book goes more into the social political connotations of having such a huge dog live with the family. And I'm like, what are you? You're a very silly human being, Mr. Alan Mendez. But we'll see what happens. We'll see where this goes. Speaking of Evangeline, the front cover with her in her adult form, all color. Really like that. That was a nice little bit of color page. I always liked her as a character. Her being in adult form and kind of in a sexy outfit. Definitely not the man, why do I like this character again that you usually get with her. You're like, oh, I can like this character in that way now. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And so, man, also Karen's a real a-hole. I mean, like, there are a lot of ways that what you said could have been said to Kuromaro in, like, any number of ways that totally don't make you, you know, the bee in room 23. And her, like, you should just totally embrace your feminine side and, you know, be his, like, bottom and totally be subservient to him. And I guess I know what she's going for. She's trying to push her to see beyond that stuff and, you know, not be so hung up on the romance and, you know, impress him either way, either romantically or friendshiply with her skills and power. But once again, man, Karen is just an A. Just an a-hole. Like, I'm not sure if I like the character or I'm slightly annoyed with the character because of that. But they have definitely established her as that. There's no way to see beyond that of, I am a jerk. And then, you know, the big reveal about his mentor comes. And my God, if anybody's like, man, you should have really seen that one coming, I should have. Like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, God. So, what? Oh. If anybody, like, comments, like, the only comments I get on any of these videos so far, if the only one I ever get is like, dude, that was, like, telegraphed. Like, you didn't see that he was one of the 3 bad guys that was gonna come next and fight in the village? Like, you can make fun of all you want for that. I mean, just when I saw it, I was like, wait, did I mention it in the last video or did I not see this coming? Ooh, I really should have seen this coming if I didn't see it coming. Oh, man, I am slightly embarrassed. I will totally admit that. I am like, ooh. But yeah, his mentor is actually the werewolf that we saw before. And now we see totally that there are 3 guys. Each one of them obviously set up. You know, Toda's going to have to fight his enemy, who is, you know, his mentor in, you know, this flesh step. Kuromaru is definitely gonna have to fight the blind swordsman, and you know, horrible human being Karen is obviously gonna have to fight the third guy. So that's all set up. But still, I think Kuromaru has a lot of potential to be like a poorly handled character, but I feel like there's also a real potential for the character to be used for some interesting storytelling, and I hope they are. But we'll see how it goes next time. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Other than that, see you guys next time.